All right, let's talk about something that's completely changing the game. I'm talking about artificial intelligence in our schools. It feels like it's everywhere all of a sudden, right? And while it's got this incredible promise to revolutionize learning, it also brings up some huge challenges that we absolutely have to get right.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? AI isn't some far-off future thing. It is here. It is in the classroom right now. But are our schools, our teachers, and especially our students, are any of us actually ready for this?
I mean, it feels like just yesterday that tools like ChatGPT just, boom, exploded onto the scene. And all of a sudden, every single student has this unbelievably powerful writing partner right at their fingertips.
And, it's not just about the obvious stuff like chatbots. AI is also the engine running in the background. Think of those adaptive learning platforms that are quietly tailoring lessons to each student. It's happening in ways that are honestly pretty invisible to most of us.
It's even helping to grade papers, which, hey, could save teachers a ton of time. So, the takeaway here? Whether we're paying attention or not, AI is fundamentally rewiring how education works.
Okay, so let's get into the heart of it, the promise versus the peril. Because for every amazing thing AI can do, there's a flip side, a risk we need to talk about. And this isn't just a tech issue. This is about protecting students and, really, the trust we have in our entire education system.
So let's look at the bright side first. The promise, it's huge. We're talking about learning that's tailored to each individual student, giving overworked teachers a break from mountains of paperwork, using data to help every kid succeed. But, and this is a big but, the other side of the coin is just as real. We're looking at the risk of kids losing critical thinking skills, sneaky biases baked into the algorithms, students losing their independence, and, of course, major privacy concerns.
Yeah, and it's so important to understand that these aren't just little bugs in the system. These risks, they hit at something much deeper. They challenge our ability to think for ourselves, to be creative. There is a very real human cost if we just jump on this bandwagon without thinking.
Wow, this quote from Charlie Gideon, it just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? The real fear here isn't that AI will get something wrong. It's that we'll become so dependent on it that we forget how to think for ourselves, that our own mental muscles will just atrophy.
Okay, so this brings up a really fascinating term, epistemic harm. Now, that sounds academic, but the idea is actually super simple. It's what happens when a student starts to lose faith in their own brain. Think about it. If you have a magic black box that spits out a perfect answer every time, why would you bother with the messy, difficult process of thinking it through yourself? After a while, you'd probably start to think your own judgment isn't as good as the machine's. That's epistemic harm.
So let's dig into some of these ethical landmines. First up, algorithmic bias. This is a massive one. Just imagine an AI tool that grades essays, but it was trained mostly on essays from kids at fancy private schools. Well, it might start to penalize students from different backgrounds just because their writing style is different, even if it's perfectly good. Then you've got eroding autonomy, where the AI's suggestions start to feel more like commands. And of course, data privacy. I mean, we're talking about kids here. They don't really have a say in how their data is being vacuumed up and used.
And here is the kicker, the real reality check. Who's on the front lines dealing with all of this? Our teachers. And get this, about 2/3 of them have had zero formal training on AI. Even fewer have gotten any guidance on the ethics. So we're basically throwing them into this brand new, complex world and telling them to figure it out on their own. It's like sending them into a jungle without a map or a compass.
So, okay, we can't just dump this all on individual teachers. That's not fair, and it's not going to work. We need a bigger plan. This isn't about banning AI, not at all. It's about being smart and deliberate. It's about building some guardrails, some rules of the road, to make sure this powerful technology is actually helping our kids and not the other way around.
And you know what? This isn't the first time we've had to do something like this. Way back in 1979, the Belmont Report was created to set ethical rules for scientific research on people. It laid out these core principles, like respect for people, doing good, being fair. It gave an entire field a moral compass, and that's exactly what we need right now for AI in our classroom.
And here's what that compass could look like in practice. Building on that historical model, experts are proposing a set of core principles for AI in education. Things like, AI has to actually be for the good of students. It has to be fair. It has to respect a student's ability to make their own choices. And, super important, we need transparency and accountability. We need to know how these tools work and who's responsible when they don't. These are the guardrails we're talking about.
Okay, so having rules is great. It's essential. But at the end of the day, AI is just a tool.
The most important part of this whole equation, it's the teacher, the human in the loop who can guide, question, and inspire.
So AI is really changing what it means to be a teacher. For the longest time, the model was the sage on the stage, the expert who has all the knowledge and lectures from the front of the room. Now the role is shifting to the guide on the side. The teacher isn't just a source of facts anymore. They're a facilitator, a coach, and, crucially, they're the ethical guide who helps students navigate this new world and understand the real-world consequences of their actions with these tools.
This means teachers need a completely new playbook. UNESCO has laid out some of these new skills. We're talking about teachers acting as guardians of ethical AI use, helping students cut through all the marketing hype to see what these tools really can and can't do. And maybe most importantly, their job is to make sure human values, like curiosity, creativity, and empathy, always win out over what some profit-driven algorithm wants. It's about teaching kids to use AI to ask better questions, not just to get quick answers.
And if we can pull this off, if we get the ethics right and we empower our teachers, then this whole story changes. It stops being about humans versus machines. It becomes a story about a new kind of partnership, a human-AI collaboration that could actually make us smarter, more creative, and more capable.
I love this quote from Jess Weisman. The output was never the point. Think about that. In school, was it really about that final polished essay, or was it about the messy process of researching, drafting, and thinking that got you there? The real learning happens in the struggle. So if AI can automate some of the final product, maybe that just frees us up to spend more time on the parts that actually build our brains.
Okay, but this leads to the million-dollar question, right? The one that teachers and parents are losing sleep over. If an AI can write the paper, how on earth do we grade students? How do we know if they've learned anything at all?
Well, the answer is, we have to get more creative with how we assess learning. We have to move away from just grading the final product and start looking at the process. We need assessments that are kinda AI-proof. So, instead of just an essay, maybe it's an in-class debate, or a student has to keep a journal showing how they used AI as a tool and what they learned from it. Maybe a student uses AI to generate ideas, but then they have to give a presentation defending their final choice, explaining their reasoning. We have to assess the thinking, not just the finished thing.
And really, this is what it all boils down to. The big goal here isn't just to teach kids how to write clever prompts for an AI. That's a small skill. The real goal is so much bigger. It's to raise a generation of thoughtful, critical thinkers who know how to use technology responsibly, who can be conscientious consumers and maybe even conscientious designers of the tools that will shape all of our futures.
So let's end on this. AI is becoming an answer-generating machine. There's no doubt about it. It can give us an answer to almost anything. But in a world that's drowning in answers, the truly priceless skill, the one that sets us apart, is the ability to ask the right questions. And that's something that only humans can teach.